Mike Korzemba, appreciate all your work over the years. How are things? Thanks for taking the time.
Appreciate you for having me, of course. Things are well. Things are going good. You know, new season, new grind, excited. How about you?
I'm doing well, but we have to start with this. One of the greatest rappers to ever live, Jadakiss, once said, "What if Portland drafted Jordan instead of Sam Bowie?" Is it fair to say that's the greatest what if in NBA history?
Yes. Because okay, so there actually is one a bit better. I feel like so. With that, if I remember correctly, there was a chance that Hakeem, Clyde Drexler, and Michael Jordan were all going to be on the same team based on a potential trade that could have taken place during that draft. Not sure if I have that story fully right now off the top of my head, but what I will say is yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm correct on that there was a potential trade thrown out there. What I will say is the Sam Bowie pick was absolute nonsense, man. I mean, if you look back, we get it. Centers were all the rage, right? If you look back at Sam Bowie's career, he was awesome at Kentucky, and then the man he was on his second major leg injury, while Michael Jordan won the national championship as a freshman, was National Player of the Year, was Michael Jordan. The only reason he wasn't drafted number 2 was because they already had Clyde Drexler. And it's like, we can't make this work? You can't get a big man after? What are we talking about?
Yeah, I think they cared so much more about positions back then than they do now.
Yeah, it wasn't get the best talent and then we make it work. I guess also free agency was somewhat new even. So, because that came into play later on in NBA history. But I will say that was definitely one of, if not the best what ifs. Because if you look at something like Kevin Durant to the Portland Trail Blazers, right? If we're talking about drafts and trades, right, that's a different story. Because Kevin Durant to the Blazers, you know, the Blazers ended up falling apart no matter what because of Brandon Roy. So, would that team have been much better? Yes, of course. But Michael Jordan immediately in another franchise. I mean, the implications. The Chicago Bulls are not the premier franchise that they are.
How about
talking about 6 swung championships?
How about does Michael win 6 still? Does he win more? Does he win less? Does he win less? Yeah.
Maybe him and Clyde are the perfect combo. We have no idea. I mean, but it's hard to imagine a better wingman than Scottie Pippen, even if Scottie hates Michael.
He does hate Mike, right?
I mean, how do you feel about that, right? Isn't that wild?
Well, Did
you think he was done wrong in the documentary?
Well, they kind of brought up the thing. I mean, no, they were documenting what happened, but they did bring up that he waited to get that surgery, which made him look pretty bad in the documentary. But it's a documentation of what really happened. I think I might be upset. I think I might be upset though if I was Scotty if that came out though, right?
Okay. So upset about that, which is understandable. I will say though.
Well, let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question though. I mean, obviously some of it was documented back then, but was that public knowledge before the documentary that he waited that long?
That is a good question. I believe it was public knowledge because, or at the very least, it was very known to the Bulls because.
Yes, obviously.
So you know, I would imagine the beat writers back then. What's interesting is right now with Google, if you Google things, it's so hard to find the information back then, especially if it's shady information. It's like they've scrubbed everything. But
right.
Was it public information that was bad by Scottie? I mean, Scottie also had a situation when Michael Jordan was in the one season that he wasn't in the playoffs, where Tony Kukoc, the game-winning shot was drawn up for him.
Of course.
Scottie decided to sit on the bench, not even walk out on the court. What are we talking about here? Who is the selfish one, Michael Jordan or Scottie? I mean, Jordan specifically even said, I believe in The Last Dance, I think it was even right there. He was like, without Scottie Pippen, there is no Michael Jordan. What do you, where, he's giving you all the credit possible.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if I actually talked about this on a pod, so I don't want to stay on it too long right now. But he recently said that he'd be the best player in the NBA today, or amongst the best. He definitely would be amongst the best, but not the best.
Scottie just is. He's got some wild stories. You know what's actually really wild is Scottie Pippen's ex-wife. First of all, with Michael Jordan's son is super. Just like what are we talking about here? But also one of my past fraternity brothers. One of my fraternity brothers was in Miami with her, and the headline was "Serious Miami Man with Scottie Pippen's wife," and I'm like, this was my frat bro. What the heck?
Oh my God!
All right, imagine waking up to that and be like, huh?
Yeah. She's out there. She's out there. Let's shift to Giannis. I recently watched your Giannis video. It feels like it's only a matter of time.
Appreciate you.
It feels like it's
Yes,
only a matter of
and
time.
so-
Yeah.
He kind of walked it back a bit. I think Giannis is such a nice guy that he doesn't really want to just go out there and say, I'm demanding a trade. I deserve better here, you know?
Yeah.
So I think that's part of the reason why we're getting these like weird smoke signal type things. But if we're talking about a situation where you have the general manager flying to Greece and laying out this master plan saying, hey, this is how we're going to work things out. And Giannis just looks him in the face and goes, I don't believe you. Like, what else is there to talk about? His contract expires in 2027. So he does have a player option in 28. But that's when the Lakers have their cap space. They've been weirdly specifically building their cap towards the summer of 2027. Maybe in anticipation of Giannis. Will Giannis play out this entire year with the Bucks? I mean, that question will be answered, I would assume, based on how they do. Like, if they're the 7th seed in the East by the time the trade deadline rolls around, I'd be sick of it. I want him out. How do you feel? Do you want him out of Milwaukee?
Yeah, of course. I mean,
Of course,
I think,
right? Of course.
I think it's I think all these like people kind of get upset at players for team hopping, but in the modern game, I mean, I think it's great for the league when a big move like that. It brings so much interest. It brings outside interest. It's fun. It kind of changes the dynamics of what's going on in the middle of the season and who could actually win the NBA championship. I think all that stuff is fun, and he's been there a long time already. It's not like he team hopped early or something.
Yeah, of course. So I feel like there's just if the team isn't giving you the roster you need, then yeah, like he's paid his dues. Of course, he won a championship there. He's done everything. At the end of the day, Giannis really was on that path where people were saying, is he going to be better than Tim Duncan? And then it was a comparison of Tim Duncan was way more of a modern day big, you know, I mean, not modern day. He was way more of a pass big who was a post up center type, while Giannis, of course, is dribbling down the court, all over, guarding multiple positions. So it was like a Steph Curry, Magic Johnson type argument.
Right.
Brewing, you know, where it's like Magic's traditional point guard, Steph is the shooter. When you say who's better, people immediately go, well, you know, Steph isn't the passer. But Giannis completely fell out of that conversation due to the fact that the Bucks have just, one, bad luck with Dame. We have to, you know, agree with that. It was bad luck. But two, they've been failing to get a good roster around him for quite some time. I mean, he's arguably the most versatile player in the NBA. You could plug him into any roster. What roster would he take away from? If you took Luka and you put him with certain players, it's like, okay, now you have two basically guys.
Yeah, like if you put him with Trae Young or something, right? Like
yeah, exactly. It's much harder. It doesn't fit perfectly. Giannis, you're putting him out there. He works with anyone.
But actually, you know what?
People
could actually say that about Luka and LeBron, though. But LeBron kind of made it work last year. That was the interesting thing. Like he was playing a little bit more small ball five. Yeah.
But you get what I'm saying? Is that
100%?
They had the guy that could work with anyone, and they had unlimited options, and they waited until Dame was a little bit past his prime, and then we saw what happened. Unfortunately, just a bunch of injuries and everything. But after 3 straight first round losses, if I'm Giannis, I want to end my career on a high note. Where would you want to see him go?
All right, here's the thing. So I watched your video, and I think what was interesting is you were showing what was actually realistic in terms of trade packages. So my question to you is, how realistic is it that Giannis will actually land with the New York Knicks?
Okay, so I think that all comes down to if he just strictly demands a trade there. It really does. Because Jimmy Butler just showed us everything, right? He's 35 years old, and he somehow still had all of the cards. The Heat got Andrew Wiggins back for him.
Right.
Andrew Wiggins, Golden State became a superhuman for one NBA Finals, just bodying defenders out of the way on rebounds. I think he had a 48-inch vertical in that series, which was amazing. But Andrew Wiggins is not a guy you really want to get back for Jimmy Butler, and they were forced to get back a player like Andrew Wiggins because that's where Jimmy Butler wanted to go, and he had that power at 35. So if that's the case, then yeah, I mean, he could easily end up in New York. And then I think if they're able to keep Cat with him, I would be interested in that fit together. Ideally, of course, like in the perfect, I keep saying of course, I'm just realizing. Ideally, in the best case scenario for New York, you are able to keep Cat somehow and trade one of the wings because then Giannis is able to fill that role defensively. Though, what would you say Cat's trade value is in the NBA? Because he would have to. They would need to make a 3-team deal.
It would probably have to be Cat in one of the wings for it to make sense for the Bucks, right? Either OG or Mikal. I don't see another way that it would make sense for the Bucks.
I don't think it makes sense. Well, but the problem is the Bucks are about to be held hostage at the end of the day. Because they're.
So what's the package? What like if you just were thinking, because you put some study into this, what would be the realistic trade package for both sides?
So I think you would have to make it a 3-team deal. What makes the most sense to me? What makes the most sense to me and what makes the most sense to all of us is not always what happens, though, I will say. So you could see a team like the Bucks where clearly they should rebuild with young players. Then suddenly they're trading for, older vets for some reason, and you're like, what are you doing? So I would think, though, Milwaukee would hit the reset button here. You link up with a team that has assets, so they could link up with the Spurs there who have young assets. Other teams that have young assets that would want a Karl Anthony Towns big. Off the top of my head, that's difficult. I'm thinking... I mean, the Magic have assets and are in contention. It'd be a hard. Cat would also then have to be going to a team that would believe he can push them to the next level because otherwise, why would you be paying $50+ million for Cat?
Yeah, I mean, you have to be really good defensively already if you want Cat and think you're going to win. That's why Mitchell. That's why Mitchell Robinson will start.
Yes, which I like. It's good. Mitch, it's good to see him. Hopefully, he has a fully healthy season. That Hardenstein loss, and
the gain for OKC. Talk about. I mean, we talked about the what ifs. We talked about the what ifs earlier, but the domino effect of that. It's like
a dagger in the heart. You're watching Hardenstein. He's starting out there. They're choosing to start him with Chet too. I believe 23 out of 26 of their playoff
games. Look, man, like as great as
starting.
As great as SGA is, I mean, it's like the reason they won is SGA didn't get that much better. Just the roster around him got better with Caruso, Hardenstein, and then Chet coming back from the injury. Oh,
I love Chet. How do you feel about Chet?
I love Chet, and I liked him better than Paulo back then. I don't know how you feel about that now because it's so many years later. But I was telling everybody like Chet over Paulo during that draft. That was my take. Yeah.
That is a interesting. That's a great.
They're both great. I mean,
it's a great future discussion.
Yeah.
So Chet fits the Thunder, I would say, better. 100%. Because they already have the scorers. Like they need that top tier defender. He's got the shot. He has remarkable confidence. I mean, he gets ripped online for whatever reason.
Yeah.
But I believe in both of them a lot. I really like both of them a lot. We also have to remember when you have Shea on your team, when you have when you have Jalen, it's you have two guys that are going to be taking so many shots, and so Chet's going to get less shots as a product of that. He's also going to get less reps in those situations. So maybe he would have a different development arc if he was on, let's say, the Magic. But I like where both of those guys ended up, actually. I really just like how that draft unfolded.
Yeah. Speaking of development, I wanted to talk about LaMelo Ball a little bit because ESPN had LaMelo Ball the 63rd best player in the NBA. And with all due respect to Christian Braun, they had Christian Braun as a better basketball player in the NBA than LaMelo Ball. A little disrespectful. A little disrespectful.
It's pretty wild. That is pretty wild. I wish we could see the voting sheets on that, because I bet you some people did have LaMelo more towards the 30 range, and then some people had completely given up on him. He was probably one of the biggest, variance guys where some people gave up on him. His numbers, if he were to be healthy, right? I think his health is the biggest concern. I'm not concerned about he isn't a winner, this kind of stuff. LaMelo locks in. Like, at every point in his career so far, up until right now, he has proven everyone wrong. We had, in high school, he was playing with Lonzo, of course, Chino Hills, amazing team. And then LeVar just stepped in and just started just making these decisions that were wild, bringing him overseas when he was still in high school. He got completely written off as a prospect, then came back to Spire, became a 5-star recruit again, and then ended up, the number 3 pick in the draft, where if you had told people 2 years before that he was about to be the number 3 pick in the draft, it would not have been believed. So he's been counted out before. When players get that bag, though, when they get paid like the franchise guy, that is when that next level of, are you going to still work at this level with now generational types of wealth? You're not on your first contract. You're not, you're a millionaire on your first contract, but the generational wealth really makes some guys stop working. Cough, Zion Williamson. Melo, though, I believe in. I'm a personal big LaMelo believer. I really do think that he's going to prove a lot of people wrong. The current roster is still trash, though. So what's he supposed to do?
Yeah. I like Brandon Miller. It's interesting because we remember that tiny kid playing next to his brother Lonzo and his brother Jello, who's now big rapper. Shouts to Jello. It's crazy because if you would have asked people back then, a lot of people probably would have thought he would never even play in the NBA. Like, remember that skinny kid shooting from half court? I mean, he was really young in his trajectory, but I don't think anybody thought he'd be this great at that point.
I don't want to take, okay, so I try to take least pride as possible. I will say.
Oh, you thought he was.
I was on the LaMelo Ball train so early because. Okay. So the biggest meme that gets thrown at me is the fact that I made a video that was titled "Meet Lonzo Ball, Steph Curry with a 40-inch vertical," and so you nonstop will see.
You're a content creator. That's what you got to do.
I am. First of all, yeah, exactly. You understand. And when I posted that video, not a single person said a word. It just has aged. That was like 2015, 16. It was Steph had just. He was just.
Oh, got you.
He wasn't Steph yet,
So did it get major views because of that viewpoint? Over time,
solid views. It got over 2 mil. But no, has had no pickup residually.
Okay.
People just post the meme, and they hit me in the comments all the time. But every now and then you'll see one of those like freezing cold takes.
Yeah.
Your post said it's like it'll get like 100,000 likes. I got but you take them on the chest. It is what it is.
It's part of the job.
When you're gonna make a ton of opinions about basketball, you're gonna be off sometimes. And Lonzo, you can go back to the UCLA days. He was draining 30-foot threes.
Yeah. No, like with what you and I do, I mean, if you're not getting a whole bunch of hate at some point with whole bunch of love, you're probably not doing something right? Like it's part of the job.
You're also being you're taking zero risks. You're probably just agreeing with everyone's opinion. I don't like that at all. I'm. So when you first started, were you as strong with your opinions as you are now, or you got? Yeah.
Okay.
There was
right from the
never
beginning.
one single video or time I've ever written anything and posted it that I did not agree with. So I can hold strong with that.
I think we're going to get back. Actually, I want to talk about Matas Buzelis in a second, but I think the one thing that some content creators make a mistake on is they try and sound smart instead of actually talking about the things that people want to hear about.
That is, and I get caught in that trap as well, because I want to talk about certain things, and then other people don't care at all about them.
Yeah.
But then it's a hard mix, because then if you're also only following the trends and you're never just being yourself, well, then how are you going to set yourself apart from everyone else?
Yeah, that's wisdom right there. All right, speaking about how we're going to set ourselves apart from everyone else, I was saying that Matas Buzelis was going to be Rookie of the Year, and I was very disappointed he didn't get playing time with the Bulls. Yes, it's documented. I said it at Thomas and Mack in Summer League on a recording. It's documented. But now I was happy to watch him play that second half of the season and show what he could do. And then recently you made a video about him and 3 other players.
I'm a Bulls fan, so
okay.
from New Jersey.
That went to St. John's. That went to St. John's, right?
That went to St. John's. Yep.
Gotcha. Okay. Queens get the money. Queens get the money. Okay. But yeah.
Yes. Love the Johnnies. Rick Pitino.
Pitino,
we take him to casinos.
Renaissance. Yeah.
Yes. That has been so incredible. But for Modest, incredible prediction by you. Love that. At one point projected to be the number 1 overall pick. G League Ignite, terrible. Just a terrible atmosphere. However, I will say I've had my favorite players of all time have been I've always loved Luka, so he's been like my recent guy. But now he's on the Lakers, so it's kind of hard to have that be your guy when it's the Lakers. But I'll still say I always love and support Luka. I saw him in the NBA Finals. In his one NBA Finals game, I actually got the chance to watch that one win that they got in Dallas, so that's cool. But for Modest, he is my new guy. It was Derrick Rose, of course. I tried to fall in love with Patrick Williams. Patrick Williams didn't want to perform on the court, unfortunately. So I had to break up with that one. Modest, when he was drafted and he immediately was like, thank you to everyone who doubts me. I was born for this. I'm like, what else do you ever want to hear, right? And then of course, we got Zach LaVine, we've got Pat, we've got so many wings that were in front of him to begin last year. And Billy Donovan is just, he's a player's coach, but you got to earn your minutes there. So he did. By the second half of the season, I think we can agree Chicago Bulls were definitely counted out after the Zach LaVine trade. Like, no one expected them to play better. They had a better winning percentage after the Zach LaVine trade than before. So
addition by subtraction. Yeah.
Of course, because Kobe was doing his thing.
Yeah, I like Kobe.
Josh Giddey, I love the contract we've got him on. He's great energy. I watched the Bulls training camp videos, and Giddey and Modest were recently featured, and I'm just like, these are the guys. Giddey was throwing some dimes where it's like that kind of passing just can never be taught.
They have Herder. They have Herder now too. Now, right? They have Herder. Is Herder on the Bulls?
Yep, we do have Kevin Herder. Yep.
I mean that's actually a perfect fit with that team. Like the movement.
Love
shooting.
it. It really is. It really is.
Yeah.
But yeah, Modest in general. What else could you ask for here? We got a 6'10" ultra athletic wing who didn't show out at the dunk contest. Maybe he wants to run it back again. He is an extreme competitor, but it's his mindset, right? At the end of the day, so many NBA players are talented. So many guys are super athletic. So many guys have the potential in them, but you have to want it more than everyone else. That's all you'll ever hear him say. And he's humble about it too. I love him so much, but he was asked what his ceiling was, and he said, I think I could be the greatest player ever. But he said it in a humble way because that's what you need to think in order to be 100%. A top tier NBA player.
Top in
yourself.
Top in anything.
In anything.
The greatest in anything. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, look, he has everything to me because he has the feel, he has the athleticism, he has the skill. I think the biggest kind of mover for him would be like the shooting. Can he get the shooting down? Because everything else to me is like
yeah.
the feel on both sides really good. He's obviously a crazy athlete, and he's a good passer. Like his feel translates to both sides of the floor. He just needs to get that shooting down, and he's an all-NBA player, I think, in the future for me personally.
It's his shot blocking. I think I definitely think all NBA players.
He actually,
I'm hoping it keeps going.
It might sound crazy, but he's a Cooper Flagg type player.
He really, and there was that famous one-on-one that they played that hopefully makes documentaries one day. I watch some of those clips sometimes, and I'm like, if these guys hit it, like, then that's a documentary clip that we're watching. Like, oh, remember when they played one-on-one way back when? But yeah, what really stood out to me immediately was the shot blocking. To look at for the G League Ignite, he averaged, I think, like over 2 blocks a game, and as a wing, it's super rare. I mean, that's like an Andre Karolinko type wing. And when you watch him play, so did you happen to catch his highlights? I mean, it's the preseason. I don't expect really I don't watch anything like that. But did you watch his highlights against the Cavs?
I think I saw some of them across my timeline. Yeah,
a lot of advanced finishing moves. Like he had the slow down, the new. It's not like on the 2 steps, the slow down type finish where you explode one. The deceleration. Yes, thank you for naming it for me. Thank you. So he hit with one of those. He blew by Jared. He saw Jared Allen. You love to see a guy head up, right? If I centers in my way, like centers with me at half court. Crossover, just blew by him, scored. Took Mobley one-on-one. Hit it, just extreme blow by with a nice lefty finish at the rim. Blocked Evan Mobley. He's already looking like an absolute menace, and he scored about 19 points in something like 20 minutes. I mean, expectations are sky high on my end.
All right, we mentioned Cooper Flagg a little bit. You are an historian of the game. You study the greatest players ever. Do you believe Cooper Flagg is generational?
Good question. I will say, I'm going to go with yes. I'll just go yes. And so, again, I'm all about my opinions and sticking with them. So, Cooper Flagg, when you look at it, I mean, I don't know what he would be missing. We have a guy who went to Duke, clear, not only number 1 guy, but he was the National Player of the Year. Ball went to his hands in the Final Four, misses that big shot that could have been, maybe, I think if he makes that, then everyone is on board the Cooper Flagg train, because it's like he has that clutch factor as well. He missed it. I mean, immediately, like, the fact that he played 1 year up, though, and a legitimate 1 year up. So Marvin Bagley, when he reclassified, he was reclassifying back to the grade that he should have been in. It was like one of those situations where his dad sat him back a year, like when he was 3 or something, was like, no, son, you're not going to school. We're instead going to hang so that you can be bigger than everyone. So Cooper Flagg is legitimately 1 year younger than the rest of his draft class and was Player of the Year, held his own at Team USA camp right away. I mean, he's just a dog. Do you know that Brian Scalabrine and him are super close, and that's his mentor pretty much? Yeah, so Scal is just he put him in an environment, I believe, when he was 14, which is, this is what you want to hear from these guys, that they're always in these types of things. Put him in an environment that was just tons of yelling, tons of, it was just a cutthroat type of basketball environment. It was only you were allowed something like 2 dribbles in 5-on-5 games, running back and forth. He's playing with 18-year-olds, top recruit type players. Scal said it took him about 30 minutes to get adjusted to everything, and then it took him about an hour to be the best player on the court. And that's been his life story at this point. I mean, he was practicing against University of Maine players when he was a high school freshman, and the University of Maine coach has similar things where he was saying Cooper was the best guy out there as a high school freshman at times against grown college athletes. So, I mean, there would be one like you could say, I guess, lateral quickness or something like that, or
shooting.
Maybe like slightly undersized.
The shooting. The shooting could get better.
Was good. I think Yeah, it could get better. Okay. I think that in the second half of Duke's season, he did shoot over 40% from three. He had a rough beginning to the year.
He's
So
gonna
I think
figure. He's gonna figure it out.
Knocked down at the end.
I believe, like, yeah, it's hard to find like what the biggest improvement area is because his feel is so good defensively. I mean, I think that's where you start with him, like the defense, right? And then on the other side, he's such a smart player, such a great passer, is so athletic, it has all the instincts. But I guess if you kind of like want to find something he could improve upon, is probably shooting off the dribble, probably ISO game a little bit. Like that's not something that he hangs his hat on, and then knocking down that NBA three consistently. But everything else is there. Yeah.
Everything else is there. I think with the generational label, maybe what's tough there is that a lot of the generational guys, they have such a standout trait. You know, like LeBron's grown man athleticism at 18 years old. Wemby's insane
Actually,
height.
you know, LeBron probably had two because it was the athleticism with the passing. With the generational passing,
yeah, he was.
You know what I mean?
He was a Magic Johnson. Yeah, people were throwing that Magic comp out very early. Oh, 100%. So I think though the fact that Cooper is just all around incredible for his age, but there isn't one standout. But his defense, though, what you're saying, his basketball IQ is really his standout. It's just that's not something that pops out to you unless you watch him a lot, you know, or even like for like a full game. But if you're just watching his highlights, like when have you ever watched a guy's highlights and been like, man, what basketball IQ?
100%, yeah. What was Michael Jordan's standout thing? Because he did go number 3 to bring this conversation full circle. You know, I guess it wasn't. Yeah, I mean, the athleticism was standout, but I feel like it didn't get as much hype as it should have got in North Carolina. You know,
there's a infamous or maybe a famous, whatever. Infamous or famous saying, it was said that the only person that could hold Michael Jordan under 20 points was Dean Smith, his own coach. Right. So he was just playing in an offense that was super slowed down and that was focused on team ball. I'll say his standout must have been, his athleticism at the time was incredible. You know, we have seen a lot of guys, modern athletes are just better in general. You know, people know how to train. People are in the weight room. You can increase your vertical leap, you know, but people
100%.
were not doing that. But I think his standout would be his athleticism. Also, you're right though with him, but he wasn't a generational prospect.
100%.
That was the thing, you know. His standout was always his mindset. Like, and his competitiveness.
Like Shaq was a bigger prospect. Shaq was a more generational prospect than even Michael Jordan, which is crazy.
But yeah, definitely. Yeah. Shaq was shattering backboards. You know, it was just an absolute monster.
I think Shaq
put on too much weight. I mean,
probably the biggest generational prospects, actual NBA draft prospects, are Wemby, LeBron, and Shaq. I mean, I think you could throw like Bird and Magic in there, right? They were pretty generational at the time.
So Magic went number 1. Larry Bird, a funny story with him. He was drafted, I think 6th, but that was because Red Auerbach was a wizard of the NBA.
Right.
He was the old Celtics coach for Bill Russell, won all the championships with him. Then he went into the front office and he had this. So the NBA, they have their team meetings, and Red Auerbach had a strategy where he would purposely wait until the end of the meeting when everyone was tired and wanted to leave, and then he would suggest what he wanted. So at one point he suggested the NBA used to always throw up the ball for a tip-off between every quarter.
Yeah,
so
right.
He suggested, like, I don't want that anymore, and they agreed with him. He said the refs do it wrong and everything. In reality, it was because Wilt Chamberlain would win the tip ball every single time. So he wanted the Celtics to regain, to at least keep it even there. But he suggested in this meeting that he said, why do we have it so, he suggested, can we have it so that you can draft a player and he can still go back to college, and as long as you sign him after he finishes college, but before the draft, he's still your player, okay? And so they agreed, and then with that pick of that draft, he took Larry Bird and Larry Bird went back to Indiana State and was already a Boston Celtic.
That's crazy.
So
yeah,
that is crazy. So I mean, Bird was generational, but
nobody had a chance. But nobody
I
had.
mean,
But nobody had a chance.
no one had a chance. They were so angry. They changed that rule right back. They were so mad because and they were mad at themselves.
Who are your top 3 generational draft prospects of all time?
I think you nailed. So Wemby and LeBron are pretty hard to argue with. And then I would say Kareem. Back in the day, the Lou Alcindor, that.
Right.
Or also Wilt,
That's true.
Wilt was playing professional basketball at 14 or something.
Globetrotters before the NBA, right?
No, but before that, he snuck onto a professional roster when he was a teenager and was playing under a different name. I wish I knew the name right now. But he legitimately played under a different name on.
I think was it the Harlem Wrens?
I'm not even sure, but I do know he stuck on a different team. So. If you're already playing professional basketball before you get to college basketball, and then, that's pretty generational.
Yeah. Has Ben Simmons played his last game?
Yeah.
Has Ben Simmons played his last game?
Ooh. It appears the NBA's given up on him. I mean, the Clippers, in theory, could use him. In theory, any team could use him. He must be so bad in the locker room. He must be someone that is just a negative energy dude.
I think there's a good chance, I don't know him personally, that he doesn't care about basketball at all.
I think there's a 100% chance he doesn't care about basketball. He might be playing Call of Duty in the locker room as the coach is trying to be like, Ben, can you you missed this assignment? And he's like, yeah. Probably, I think he's the nod your head kind of guy, and always makes you think that he's gonna be doing something. Then he just does whatever he wants. I mean, the most improvable skill in basketball is shooting. It's just very simply take a lot of jump shots. There's nothing more. And
I would say a lot of volume and get the right information. And if you seek the right information, if you're in the NBA, you could find the right information. You could find it.
That's what I was gonna say, 100%. Because also, it's us shooting around on a basket. We have to go rebound our own misses. We have to go do all this. If Ben Simmons wanted 3 guys with him at all times to be rebounding everything, of course they have the automatic pass back things. But if Ben Simmons wanted 3 people just working with him, homies, whatever, the Sixers would have done anything to get him to just be practicing shooting.
Yeah. He
obviously just refused to pick up a basketball in the offseason. His stats were almost identical for, since he was a rookie. It just shows no improvement. I mean, any improvement that's being shown is through game reps. He was a generational prospect. It's just, unfortunately, that he's going to go down as the exact poster child of hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard, and he's the talent doesn't work hard section of that poster.
All right, I want to end with this. I don't know if people will start stopping the pod or pressing pause or leaving the pod, but I do want to talk about content creation with you a little bit because you have done such a magnificent job on YouTube over the years. How long does each video take, and what tools do you use to create your videos?
Okay, so depends on if it's a news video, if it's a more story-driven video, or if it's one of my what-ifs, so news videos, at this point I can write them pretty, 3 to 4 hours of deep work, but that's me. I put in my headphones, brown noise, no distractions, and I just grind writing. And I have all the research knowledge down, so I use sites such as Basketball Reference, there's Crafted NBA, there's Cleaning the Glass. Basketball Reference, if you only use that, would be fine. It is so good. There are tools such as StatHead in there that allows you to compare players to other players. They have just all of NBA history in there. I love Basketball Reference. But so if it's a longer, though, story-driven video, for instance, I did a Michael Jordan, a whole look at the one game that almost ruined his legacy, it was called, and it was against the Indiana Pacers. the game 7 that, because he played no NBA Finals game 7s, but he did play game 7s in the playoffs. So I was looking at that one specifically. That took way longer. It was like more 2 to 3 days of writing. And the What If probably is around the same writing, but the preparation for it, like I have to go back and redo all of NBA history with like whatever I'm starting with. So, for instance, what if Kevin Durant drafted? It could be 10 seasons, and I'm manually plugging in all of those numbers. I am going and looking at win shares for 48 minutes, going, okay, I use that as a base, so it's like this is -6, this is this. I have it in Microsoft Excel to, update all with formulas to help me out. But I also had to look that up. I didn't know any of that at all. So that took forever to learn. And now I don't even remember how I set it up because it was so long ago. So it's like I'm just using the sheet I used, but I don't even know how it works because I taught myself how to do it. And then I just have never needed that information again.
What kind of sheet? Like a Google sheet?
If you looked at it, you'd be like, what is even happening here? It's just like, it's just a way for me to be able to copy and paste NBA standings of that season into the sheet, then manually plug in per player how many wins how many wins that player would add or take away, so losses, right? And so then it's all automated so that it spits back out at me the final new standings, and then it has a draft lottery section. That way, then I can redo the draft lottery because now it's all new draft picks and everything. So it's all that stuff. I mean, I look at it and I go, this is overwhelming, and it's my own sheet. So,
and what editing tools do you use?
So right now I'm blessed to have a video editor. But he uses Premiere Pro. That's what I use right from the beginning myself, Adobe Premiere Pro. And then as for any other tools, just I also will say ChatGPT I use as a personal research assistant at this point. So, you could, it's like $20 a month for the advanced version or whatever.
Yeah, I got that.
It does deep research. Yeah, exactly. And then so now my job's easier in that way because then you're able to just be like, hey, I'm making a video on Giannis. Can you cover every single report of Giannis in a trade in the last year? And it actually does it. And it's super effective. So I would definitely say to anyone who's starting out or doing it right now and wants an easier time, using ChatGPT as a research assistant, awesome. Now, do I use it as a scriptwriter? No, I don't like that at all. I like writing my own and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But it's super helpful.
And how about thumbnails?
Thumbnails. So again, my editor does that now.
Okay.
We do use Photoshop though.
Photoshop.
But I know that there's a lot of stuff out there that is like Canva.
Yeah.
I know you could even just generate
AI
right now.
Taj AI could do it. But it's like,
exactly.
The thing about AI is it's not a shortcut. It's like where to start in a way. Like you could start with that, but you also got to tinker with it on yourself.
For sure. I mean, you have to prompt the AI to work correctly,
Right, 100%.
You just go in, and if I ask for a Giannis research,
I mean, I see a lot of people even with short form content, which I'm a lot better at than long form. It's like they'll just put their pod into Opus and like not even add B-roll, not add anything. It's just like the captions are off and just like throw it out. And I'm like, you're not going to separate yourself like that, It's like you have to do the extra work.
Absolutely,
yeah.
Exactly. Like that's a tool now we all have.
Exactly.
It is important though. It's just like the internet, where if you're not going to use it, you're going to get left behind, in my opinion. And
yes.
When it first came out, I was super against it, I'll say, because I do like the creativity of just like, human beings thinking for themselves. So, and there are a lot of faceless YouTube channels that just use AI to just write scripts, and that has flooded the content game for sure. So
has that been the biggest?
But
has that been the biggest change in YouTube for you? Because I noticed that I feel like smaller creators have a better chance now, and not as much is going to the creator subscribers, if that makes sense. Have you seen that as a difference? And on top of that, do you feel YouTube was more lucrative in the past or more lucrative moving forward?
Definitely more lucrative moving forward.
Okay.
Right now the ad deals are there for anyone who's succeeding. Like, you will get ad deals. The money is solid in general from Google AdSense. The opportunities, you will now get mainstream opportunities you never got before. Like, when I was first starting out, like when I hit 1 million subscribers, I had zero, not one mainstream opportunity yet. There was not one person.
So wait, how does they just find you basically? Like, you get an email? How does that work? Like, how do you, like, once you start making, yeah, go ahead. Yep.
I do have an agent, like manager type deal. Like, I am in an agency that I was in for a long time. So they reach out to people, and be like, hey, Mike provides this. But also then you do get reached out too, because people then naturally are watching your YouTube videos and it's like, oh, Mike would be like a great fit for this. And so that happened to me with ESPN in 2019, which was incredible.
Dope.
But so like right now, it's never been better to be a YouTuber if you're starting out. And like you said, the algorithm is pushing, it's giving you a chance. Like, it pushes smaller content. People blow up. I've seen plenty of NBA YouTube channels right now blow up in just one season. All it takes is a few good months. Then it's the consistency factor after, though, where you have those few good months, but now you got to keep grinding and then keep your content fresh, because people do like something, but then up to a certain extent, like, they do want to see you evolve as a person as well. You can't make the same videos for 10 years. It's just not going to work.
Yeah, that's why usually the sequel's never better than the original, right? When we think about movies, it's usually like that, for sure.
That is very true.
All right, Mike, thanks for taking the time. I really appreciate it. This was a great conversation. It was great meeting up with you downtown at House of Highlights, and it was great chopping it up with you today.
Appreciate you, my man. Of course, thank you again for having me on. This was a great talk. Had a great time.
Talk soon. Appreciate you.